Hi, this is Phil again. Let's look at some just a number of really practical points in the whole small Bible group Bible study area. Let's think about the beginning and the end of the study. Very practical. In a room, make sure that you sit at a seat that will enable people to see you. Now, this is not significant if you're sitting all around a table, but if you're in a typical living room lounge area, then there are settees and seats and sofas and all sorts of things. What you need to do is make sure that you sit in a seat where you've got a good view of everybody in the room, if that's at all possible, and also that people can see you clearly as well. Ideally, everybody will be able to see everybody because that facilitates the best discussion. But it's really important for you as the leader. If necessary, make sure you are introduced so that people know who you are and a little bit about yourself. And again, if it's a new group, get them to say something about themselves, just briefly, so that everybody at least has the very basic of introductions. And if it's your personality, you may want to begin with a joke or link something with what has already happened in the service or the meeting, if you're breaking out into small groups during that kind of event. Or maybe tell a story. What we want to do with this is simply put people at ease. That is the purpose. And if that's not necessary, then you can move straight in to the study. Icebreakers. Again, this is a good tool to get people to begin to open up and feel comfortable. It may be that the icebreaker is going to help people just get an idea, just know the other people in the group a little more. And then you want a hook, something that is going to help people see the purpose of the study. Not simply that this is the next part, but rather this passage is important because it impacts us as individuals and as a community and as a church in this area or that area, and it can really help us. So you want to get a hook. You may need to set the scene for the passage. You read the passage, of course, and it can be good to read the passage aloud so it can all be heard, but then set a little bit of the scene and the background so people can engage with it. We really do need to keep this short, and that can be the challenge for some of us. Ask such questions when the passage has been read, like introductory questions. What do you feel of the passage and what it is saying? What's your initial impressions? I always like to do this when I'm teaching an SBS or a BCC. They've read the book. What are their initial impressions? What are they feeling it's saying and things they've noticed? Towards the end of the study, be ready to pray for one another. And this really does create community, especially praying about the issues as you're able that may have surfaced during that time. Always good, especially if someone shares something that you know is a little bit costly for them to share, to make sure that that's honoured and prayed for. If you can, do get people to read the passage before time. We know that's not always possible. People are busy. As far as the size of the group is concerned, well, it really is hard to determine, but maybe 6 to 8 is a really good number, or maybe up to 10 or 12. It really determines the time you have and those who come and how much they participate. If they're all participating well, then the smaller the better, because it gives more people opportunity. And if you have a group that's growing, then split it. And that means that you're looking to train someone else to have the skills to lead a Bible study effectively. And that's a kind of a multiplication thing, which is really important. If you have control of the environment, do take charge. Make sure your people are warm enough. And make sure there's not too much noise. Again, look at the best place for you to be where you can see everybody. And do anything else that's really practical to make the environment conducive to the study. Maybe pull the curtain so that the sun isn't shining in on someone's face and in someone's eyes. It's these kind of things that can be helpful. Often small group Bible studies are connected with some kind of hospitality. Coffee at the beginning or the end. When? If you have coffee to start with, will it take too long to actually get into the study? Is it better to do it afterwards? And as a leader, recruit someone else to do any hospitality for you so that you're able to concentrate on leading the Bible study and not running around with the coffee, as important as that might be. Others just love to do that. And so it's best if there's a host and not you, the leader. And the other thing is really important, do try to finish on time. This means you need to be very proactive in seeing a Bible study through so that people know that they're able to get away and hopefully they'll want to come back. Do be willing to experiment with creative items. Today there's all sorts of things you can do and a lot of good resources. The particular theme, there's maybe a video that you can show, or maybe pertinent photographs, or even a drama. And then to have maps or charts that would visually help explain things, it's well worth the effort. And what might take a lot of words, you can show very easily through a picture or through a chart. Do be sure that you're in charge. Don't give the initiative over to anybody else in the group. Do continue to guide and control the discussion. You as a leader do need to take the lead. If there's people who are outspoken, who dominate, especially if they are critical or harsh, do talk to them. It could be useful to sit next to that person if possible, but talk to them and ask them to refrain, and because it's a community study and others need to share as well. One way, if people are reticent to share, if they are new to one another, if they're not used to this, and that is when you ask a question and people have thought about it, get them to share with their neighbor. And what you find is people are very happy just to talk to the person next to them, even if they feel intimidated or awkward talking to the group. And so you get them to talk to the neighbor, and then you can gives the introverts a chance to, or the verbal processors, should I say, a chance to think through what they want to say and what they mean. And then you can even get the neighbor to share the thoughts of the person they just listened to. And that can be often a fun way to have people contributing. If it becomes what I've called a pooling of ignorance, in other words, people are really just guessing and some wild guesses, it may be that you need to go back and think about the introduction you gave. Was it enough? And should there be more substance? And maybe the questions need attention. But what we need to do is notice that and try and bring a correction if that happens. Now, it's not impossible that they're what we call red herrings. In other words, people may come up with something that is completely left field, and it may be generating some excited discussion. And you have to decide as a leader, is this worth following? Should we just go with this now? Because it may be it's something that is very relevant to them. And it may be more relevant than the things that you have. And by pursuing this, you may feel that you can richly encourage and bless the people. Or it can be a complete waste of time. And that's one of those judgment calls you have to make on the spot. Is it worth letting this go? Generally, you don't do that. And you don't because you've prepared things and you have your goals and they've been done with prayer and the seeking of the Lord, hopefully. You prayed all about this. But maybe this is something that can really bless them. And it may be that if you feel not to study it now, you can say, we'll do that next time. This is a really interesting thing that's been raised here. Let's come and discuss it when we can give a whole Bible study session to it. Now, do encourage openness. It's not just an intellectual process. And one of the keys to openness is that you as a leader are open, and in many ways you set that tone. So people do need to feel secure, of course. They need to get to know one another. This is a process. It's nothing that can be forced. But as you as a leader demonstrate openness and humility and your own sense of need, so it is that others would feel comfortable to share themselves. Be careful about those who want to just pursue their pet subject. Those who maybe are into the end times and are convinced that the end of the world will be in 2.5 weeks' time. You can get people that are so passionate that they end up hijacking the study. And so we do need to be careful about that. These things can sometimes come out of a sense of hurt or injustice. So I want to be sensitive, but we want to guard against that. And the other thing is we want more than an intellectual discussion. We want to bring it right down to earth. Confidentiality, I've mentioned that really, but it is important, and there can be an agreement with that. Maybe you want to give some limits of openness. In this group, we will not share on sexual areas, or if it's a men's group, it might be you do include that, and you have some guidelines for that. But again, once this is talked through and decided, you as a leader lead the way with that.